Right now on the National Weather Desk, tropical troubles as newly formed Harold takes aim at Texas, California, Nevada, cleaning up from Hillary. Thick mud trapping some people in their homes.
About 150 to 200 residents are trapped at the moment.
All this as a late summer heat dome sits over the Midwest, baking states from Canada to the Gulf. One way to beat the heat? Find a cool cave.
It drops about, I don't know, I would say about 20, 30 degrees, it feels like.
0% contained. Firefighters work to get a massive wildfire in western Washington under control.
The devastation is everywhere.
And how one community in Maine is building healthier yards, one garden at a time.
You put more plants in than a regular garden, so it's very exuberant and full.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm Angela Brown. While you were sleeping, Tropical Storm Harold was born in the Gulf of Mexico and is heading for the South Texas coast. It's one of several storms we are tracking in the tropics. Meteorologist Brian Vandergraff has more. Brian?
Very good morning to you. Let's talk about what's happening out there, and that is the fact that we have Harold, which is a tropical storm, winds 45 miles per hour, sustained with gusts up to 60 miles per hour, moving to the west-northwest at about 18. What does that mean? That means this is going to be making landfall, working its way into Texas between Corpus Christi and Brownsville, and as it moves inland, it'll bring quite a bit of rain across a good portion of South Texas and into northern portions of Mexico as well. In addition, we're watching for the concern for some flooding. Right now, the flash flood risk is at 2. It is a slight risk, but we'll continue to keep an eye on that. Even an isolated tornado or two not out of the question. As we look at Harold, we also have to look out to the Caribbean, watching Franklin, which will impact portions of the Dominican Republic and will be just off the shore of the southeast Atlantic by the time we get to later this week. Let's look at the forecast. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Brian. And while South Texas prepares for Harold, folks out west are cleaning up from Hillary. All that rain left desert roads covered in mud and water. Palm Springs got more than 3 inches of rain. That's more than half a year's worth in just one day. That's also a daily record for the most rain in Palm Springs. The old record, just 2 inches, was set in 1930. But it wasn't just the desert where mud was an issue. In Los Angeles County, bulldozers were needed to rescue people trapped in the mud, their homes surrounded on all sides. As you can see right here, a man trying to walk right there through the muck, which is up to his knees. The years-long drought in California makes these mudslides even more severe. When soil dries out and hardens, it is less likely to absorb rainfall. With nowhere to go, the rain turns the soil to mud and then flows down hills and mountains. Hillary also trapped hundreds of people in the mountains west of Las Vegas. Not only is the road washed away, but power is out and there is no clean water. Brett Forrest has more from Kyle Canyon.
Hurricane Hillary largely left Las Vegas Valley intact, but it's a different scene just 45 minutes to the northwest in the Spring Mountains, the town of Mount Charleston and Kyle Canyon area. This water behind me just illustrates how much precipitation they received up here. If I stick this pole in, you can see that's about 6 inches to a foot of water, and with how fast it's flowing, that can be deadly and dangerous. So the scene up in Kyle Canyon, about 150 to 200 residents are trapped at the moment. They have no clean water. There's a boil water order in effect. They have no power. The power has been cut off, and they have no way out because the roads have been washed away. About 200 feet of the highway into town is not operable right now, washed away by this water. And they have no estimated time of getting that road back open, of getting the energy back on, getting the people out of there who need to be out of there, because they just simply cannot access them at this moment. National Guard is on scene assisting with local police, state police, and other agencies, just working together in a coordinated effort to help anyone up there who is trapped. But the good news is, at this time, they say there are no reported or known injuries or fatalities, but they are still working around the clock to get the people out of there. And just to keep in mind, this is a desert. This is normally a dry wash. There's normally no water here at all. So that just kind of shows you how much precipitation Hillary brought to these Spring Mountains right outside of Las Vegas. In Mount Charleston, I'm Brett Forrest reporting.
The remnants of Hillary are now in the Rocky Mountains, bringing rain and wind to Utah. Minor flooding is expected in low-lying and poorly drained areas. And with thunderstorms in the forecast for the rest of the day, emergency management agencies across the state are preparing to respond.
When thunderstorms come over, we're always concerned about microburst conditions and lightning.
More than 200 American Red Cross volunteers are on standby, ready to open shelters if need be. The heavy rain in Ridgecrest, California, turning a playground into a lake. You can see it here. The city is east of Bakersfield. They received nearly as much rain from Hillary as it does annually. Kids, of course, taking advantage, breaking out their water tubes. Looks like they're going for a swim. But it was not all fun and games. Other parts of the city were under an evacuation warning due to possible flooding. And what started as a brush fire near Spokane, Washington, quickly grew to a fire of more than 10,000 acres. Now hundreds of firefighters are trying to contain the Gray Fire. Daniela Julio Cano is in Medical Lake, Washington, with more.
Friday night, the Washington Department of Natural Resources ordered everyone in the city of about 5,000 to evacuate. As people left, the fire kept burning, destroying 200 structures. It's also being blamed for the death of at least one person. The Fairchild Air Force Base is making food, toiletries, and other supplies available to those who need help. Other organizations, including the Red Cross, are also here helping people who have lost everything. There is a hope that cooler temperatures will help firefighters get the flames contained.
In Northern California, firefighters are still battling the stubborn deep fire. It's burning in the Trinity Alps wilderness, nearly 300 miles north of San Francisco. As of this morning, it's burning nearly 4,000 acres with no containment. Firefighters are focused on protecting the buildings, including a 99-year-old Trinity Alps resort. Today, the weather should help with higher humidity and also lower temperatures. More than 8,500 daily heat records have been broken across the U.S. in the last 30 days. Now, that's according to NOAA. The agency expects at least 445 more daily heat records to be broken this week, mostly in central and eastern U.S., as extremely dangerous heat wave with nearly triple-digit temperatures is building right now. Now, this all goes back to a high-pressure heat dome that is parked over the middle of the country with excessive heat warnings from Minnesota to Mississippi. It's going to feel like 110 degrees in Des Moines, Iowa, 115 in Kansas City, and 107 in New Orleans. The dome is helping to deflect most of the tropical weather, though. And in Mobile, Alabama is expecting triple-digit temperatures for much of this week. The city's fire and rescue department says there has been an increase in the number of heat-related emergency calls. Andrea Ramey has more.
She was definitely overcome, sick at her stomach and unable to stand.
First responders were called to St. Anthony Street today in Mobile after this woman, who asked that we not show her, called 911. She says an older woman walking by was overwhelmed by the heat.
She was trying to walk way too far for her age and condition.
Mobile Fire Rescue spokesperson Stephen Milhouse says as of yesterday, the department responded to 19 heat-related calls this month. Last August, there were 3 calls. Last year, the department responded to 37 heat-related calls in total. So far this year, there have been 58 calls.
We can't emphasize enough being safe outside and trying to remain as cool as possible.
People who are 65 and older and children younger than 2 are at greater risk of getting sick from the heat, as well as people with heart disease, diabetes, and obesity. The state health department warned with the high temperatures expected this week, people need to especially be careful.
Just recognize that you need water. You need to stay hydrated and take regular breaks. If you're going to be outside for an extended period of time, take regular breaks when it's allowed or when you can. Because a lot of times people I'm just going to push through, and then they lose track of how they feel, or they aren't really paying attention to it, and the next thing you know, they're waking up on a stretcher.
And check out what a viewer captured in California over the weekend. This happened on Sunday. You're looking at a pretty large dust devil. They're fairly common and for the most part harmless, but there are rare occasions that they can cause damage or even some injuries. Luckily, no one was hurt by this one, but it made for some really exciting video right here. And if you want to see more weather content like this, just follow us on social media. You can find us on all of your favorite platforms. So search the National Weather Desk. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, wildfire smoke is impacting our quality of air. So officials are doing what they can to help keep people safe. And we're getting to the height of hurricane season. We'll talk with 2 experts about what the expectations are for the rest of the season.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti. Look at the Northeast. It's going to be beautiful in the Northeast over the next couple of days. Afternoon temperatures today should easily make it into the 70s and low 80s. There goes any leftover clouds from last night that has exited. Look for a lot of sunshine throughout the day today. For the entire Northeast, in fact, with low humidity, and that's going to be the rule on Wednesday as well. Midweek, we'll enjoy a lot of sun. Our next chance for getting any showers area-wide will likely be late Thursday and more so on Friday.
I'm meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. We're looking at a nice and dry start to the day, and that's all behind a cold front. We'll have plenty of sunshine this afternoon as high pressure begins to drop south, dominating the pattern around the region. Then into the night and then into Wednesday, we're looking at the chance for a few isolated showers as a warm front enters the region. Otherwise, mostly dry. 70s and the 80s this afternoon before cooling down overnight.
I'm meteorologist Vitas Reed. Here's a look at your southeast forecast highs for the day. 94 in Raleigh, looking at 97 in Atlanta and Birmingham, 96 in Nashville, 98 in Tupelo. It could get up to 100 in Mobile, 99 in Macon, 96 in Tampa. So definitely hot temperatures across the southeast. Dome of high pressure keeping us nice and clear for the most part. Maybe a few high thin clouds through the day. Can't rule out a little passing shower over Florida, but for the most part, the southeast is going to be hot throughout the afternoon.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Building healthier yards and gardens is the goal of a volunteer group in Portland, Maine. They're putting in great effort to make improvements 1 yard at a time. Meteorologist Ryan Munn explains Project 100 Resilient Yards.
100 Resilient Yards. It's an ongoing project that helps promote garden and lawn care to change the landscape into organic lawns and pollinator gardens.
In 2016 and again in 2018, South Portland passed a couple of ordinances limiting pesticide use and synthetic fertilizer use. So we're trying to build a more sustainable, resilient community.
Using organic alternatives can have many health benefits and may even save you some time in the long run.
You put more plants in than a regular garden, so it's very exuberant and full and just brings you a lot of joy. And once the plants get established, it's kind of counterintuitive, but it's actually less work when there's more plants because they limit weed germination.
Leah Farnham, an expert gardener, says the larger the variety of plants, the better. You'll want to make sure there's always something in bloom.
You want to have something early, mid, and late seasons and have different colors mixed in together. And then, we're just encouraging the homeowners to go ahead and continue with this and add to it. So that's going to make it unique.
This program is hopeful more and more people will participate in the coming years.
Part of the reason why we have the signs is so that people know what's going on and will talk to their neighbors about it and that it will spread so that we have more pollinators, healthier soil, fewer inputs, less maintenance.
Austin, Texas will see its 46th consecutive day of triple digits today, and that has people looking for some creative ways to beat the heat. Meteorologist Chicago Windler says an underground escape may be just the ticket.
Our record-setting Central Texas summer is too hot to handle for some folks, but underneath my feet is a cool place in an inner space.
Hi guys, my name is Annabelle. Welcome to Inner Space Caverns.
With our unrelenting streak of triple-digit days, there's a steady stream of visitors heading to Georgetown.
Feel how it got me moving.
Attendance is up with 1,000 people a day finding relief 70 feet below the surface.
You can definitely tell the temperature drop once you get down through the tunnel. It drops about, I would say about 20, 30 degrees, it feels like.
72 degrees year-round, so it doesn't matter when you come. You can come in the middle of the winter or in the summer. It's still 72 degrees.
Tanya Vessels is the general manager at Inner Space Cavern. She says limestone is an insulator, so the annual average ground temp is the cave's temperature.
Even though we're in a drought, we still have dripping water in the cave. Doesn't matter how much rain there's been, there's always going to be water dripping in the cave.
That water created the cave, estimated at 100 million years old.
The Balcones fault line goes from Del Rio to Dallas, and it travels right down I-35. And this is a little fissure that's off of that fault line. So a long time ago, water would seep into these fault lines and they would wash out all this rock.
It was discovered 60 years ago by accident.
The Texas Highway Department was putting in 35, and there's a railroad track that runs right here. So they had to put in an overpass to go over that railroad track.
They drilled core holes, including this one in the discovery room. And instead of rock, they hit a void.
It's got all different kinds of formations. It's got the flowstone. It's got columns, stalactites, stalagmites.
In 1966, the cave opened for tours, showcasing other cool treats like this room called the ice cream parlor.
See our little Dairy Queen ice cream cone?
Since everything's bigger in Texas.
Oh, yes, that was the best thing in the ice cream room, the giant Texas-sized ice cream
It
sandwich.
almost made me laugh, almost.
Cool thoughts while we wait for a cool change.
Do we have a fall in Texas? I mean, I don't know.
North of Austin in Georgetown, Texas, I'm Chicago Windler for the National Weather Desk.
And there's still plenty of time for people to feel the effects of the intense summer heat. So let's turn to meteorologist Mike Susko to learn about the signs of heat exhaustion and heat stroke and the difference between the two.
Heat exhaustion symptoms that you want to keep an eye out for may be faintness or dizziness, excessive sweating, cool, pale, clammy skin, a rapid, weak pulse, muscle cramps, and you might even become nauseous and start vomiting. In this case, get to a cool, air-conditioned place as fast as possible, and you want to drink water if you can. Take a cool shower or use cold compresses. The idea is to lower your body temperature as much as you can, bring it back to normal. Heat stroke, on the other hand, there's a little bit of difference with the symptoms. First off, you may experience a throbbing headache and you could stop sweating altogether. This is because your body has no more fluids to sweat out. You could have red, hot, dry skin, rapid, strong pulse, and you might even become unconscious in this situation, as well as experience nausea and vomiting. Heat stroke is a medical emergency, and you or someone nearby should dial 911 immediately if you're experiencing the symptoms of heat stroke and get professional medical intervention as soon as possible. Of course, you could avoid these symptoms altogether by doing a couple things. One, if you're going to be outside, take breaks often in the cool, air-conditioned place or a shaded area. And the key is to drink water and to stay hydrated the entire time as you're going to be outside in this summer heat. And even when it's not that hot out, still make sure you're staying hydrated and you will not experience these symptoms.
And we're just about halfway through the hurricane season and inching closer to the really active time of the year. Meteorologist Emily Gracie sat down with two tropical experts from our team of 200 meteorologists. They started by addressing those very hot ocean temperatures in the Florida Keys.
That's kind of suspect because of where that sensor is. It's in an area where the water is really still. It's not moving. It's in an area where the potential for the water to heat up abnormally like that in a small area, it's possible. So the rest of that region likely was much cooler than that.
And even the Florida State climatologist is saying these are very shallow little spots, and you get these little warm eddies that come through here, and that's not really a sea surface temperature.
And the primary area that you're going to be looking for is the main development region. It's in that long area right off the coast of Africa, coming all the way back over just south of the Caribbean. That's where you really want to look for the heat to get these storms developed. Because as these little tropical waves come off the coast of Africa, this is the area that they're going to get into.
So let's talk about fun new tools when it comes to hurricane tracking. Any thoughts on sail drones?
While it's an interesting concept and an interesting idea, they've still yet to really put it into real use, but it's potential,
The biggest problem we have, it's the lack of real-time upper air data. That's the problem. And these hurricanes are developing out in the middle of nowhere. As Alex talks about, the MDR, you don't launch balloons out there. And you get some satellite data, and you get aircraft data, and you get a little data from time to time, but I'm talking real-time upper air data. And until we as a weather enterprise can figure out a way of doing that, then we'll struggle with forecasting placement and intensity. But I think that the drone technology is great. That's a great start.
Highlight of your career so far?
Being on this show.
Yeah, why not?
Just what I wanted to hear.
Alex, you knew that's what she wanted us to say.
So. Exactly. We're here to have fun.
And that's right. To hear more of that fun and insightful conversation, make sure you check out this week's episode of our podcast, Off the Radar. Emily, James, and Alex discuss what we can expect for the rest of the season and upcoming years. Look for Off the Radar wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be right back.
Well, a very good Tuesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael taking a look at your weather story across the Midwest. We are going to be a little bit cooler here to the north with a little bit of rain across the northern part of the Great Lakes. But look at these triple-digit temperatures. It is going to be hot across the plains again for the day today. Moving into the day tomorrow, those triple-digit temperatures slowly spreading their way to the east and a lot of 90s as well, continuing to spread into the Great Lakes. Another hot day on Thursday with a chance for some isolated storms to the far east.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. We're starting off in the 80s and into the 70s this morning. We're keeping an eye down here. This is likely Tropical Storm Harold moving into South Texas, bringing some pretty good rain and some clouds, and that means a break in those 100-degree temperatures and a little bit of some rainfall down to the south. Otherwise, things are going to be a little toasty up to the north. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia, and that's a look at your regional weather.
Well, hi there, everybody, and a good Tuesday morning to you. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. The last of what was Hurricane Hillary continuing to curve through the Continental Divide today. We'll see some needed showers to tamp down the fire danger around Spokane and Medical Lake. Meanwhile, in L.A., recovering from Hillary, 73 degrees in the sunshine, making a comeback there today. Another disturbance coming in from the Pacific will bring some showers to Seattle and Portland. And that's the scene from here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
Parts of Oregon are still dealing with degraded air quality due to wildfire smoke. Megan Allison looks at what state officials are doing to help keep communities healthy.
Staff with the Department of Environmental Quality tell us they are seeing more and prolonged periods of wildfire smoke every year. In the wake of the 2020 wildfires, the Oregon legislature allocated grant funding to agencies like DEQ to connect with communities and create smoke response plans. That included steps like setting up phone trees to distribute information in areas with limited internet access.
Helping their community understand the impacts of air quality, and we try and make sure that communities can set up a plan that really reflects how they want to respond to smoke and the systems that work for them.
Some people in Portland say they changed their behavior when faced with unhealthy air quality.
Stay inside more, do more indoor activities, maybe I never
run or jog. That's not my thing, but I might not swim as much as I usually do.
Wildfire smoke will have an impact on sensitive groups, such as people with asthma. DEQ staff recommend avoiding strenuous activity and running air filters indoors if possible.
Thank you so much for joining us tomorrow on the National Weather Desk. We'll look at how schools are handling the intense heat as students head back to the classroom. I'm Angela Brown. Make it a great Tuesday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.